Alright everybody, welcome to another interview edition of the Electric Circus radio show right here at MetalMessiahRadio.com, your metal music messiah. I got two special guests on the phone with me right now on the line. We got John from the band Agent Steel, and we got Joe McGuigan from the band Agent Steel. So guys, how's it going?
Pretty good, man.
So, tell us about the brief history of Agent Steel. How did you get started with Agent Steel, John?
Well, it was back in the early 80s, about 1983. I had kind of put aside the guitar for a little while, and I decided to pick up the microphone and try to do something as close as I could to the people that I admired, bands that I liked, vocal-wise, like Iron Priest, Iron Maiden, and even some more hard rock kind of genres like Triumph, and I like Rush, all the good stuff. And playing guitar for a while and just messing around with different bands. I'd never run into a vocalist that could really fit the part that could best project the lyrics that I was writing and the music I was writing. So it would always get me down all the time, and I would always, drive around with my friends, singing along to Priest songs, Maiden, and just everything, Angel back in the day, all the good vocal stuff. And my friends used to say, "Hey man, I know you play guitar good, man. I'm a big fan of your guitar playing, but it's strange you can sing like these guys, kind of, I said, "Get out of here, man. I just do it, it's just pastime." I said, no, man, you're hitting these notes like these guys. That's kind of strange. And one of my best friends at one point said to me, he said, "Hey, I don't want to offend you or anything, man. You're probably going to kick me out of your car right now, but I think you're kind of a better singer even than you're a guitar player." I said, "Oh, that's it, man." I pulled over the car. I said, "Get the fuck out of my car." But I said, just joking, man. Really? I said, wow, it's a compliment. These are my heroes. And so it just always was always there in the background, and I always thought, after auditioning hundreds of vocalists in two or three different bands, the first one being Sanctuary, which I came up with that name before the actual Sanctuary, back in the actually late 70s, actually, when I first was playing around garage bands and stuff. Right. And just could never find anybody to sing out my lyrics and my ideas. And some people, I ran into some good singers, but they just didn't have the character or the drive that I was looking for. So I always thought, wow, if I could sing, this would really come out. This would really come out the way it would be projected, the way I really wanted to. So then one event led to another, and I ended up having to put the guitar down for a while, and I had $80 left. I sold all my guitar equipment. I had some bills to pay, and I thought, this is it. I'm out. I'm not in the music business anymore. I'm not going to work on getting an album out or anything. And I had about $120 left, and I went to Guitar Center and bought an SM58 microphone. And I said, just for the heck of it, I'm gonna see what's going around in LA. And I started looking through a magazine, it's like a cheap rag magazine that you can get right next to newspapers and stuff, and get them out on the street anywhere. It's called Recycler, and all the bands, Motley Crue, everybody would meet through that newspaper. So I answered some singer wanted ads, and it would that's where it all took off. Right there, I auditioned for Abattoir, and the minute I sang two of their songs. I was in the band, and we were opening for Slayer 2 weeks after that, and it was really cool. And then I just decided to start my own band, and I had met Juan through Abattoir. He was the guitar roadie for Abattoir, and I got him in the band. I decided that they had a second guitarist from was playing with Mark Caro, the lead guitarist, and he wouldn't show up. He was more into the glam bands and the hair bands and stuff, and he was a nice guy and everything, but he wouldn't show up to rehearsals, wasn't that dedicated. And I knew that Juan, being the guitar tech, knew the songs, and he was like a, kind of in the closet guitarist that was really good, but didn't really have the ego or the drive to come out, and say, and audition for bands or whatnot. So he was just being a friend of Avatar's. He decided to pick up the guitar tech position and kind of just kept in the, stayed in the background. But since we got to be good buddies, I suggested that they bring him in as a second guitarist, and it was all magic from there on out. I said, they said, well, we're tired of the other guy anyway. We know he's not dedicated. We're not even sure he's going to.
Right. Okay, now you have Joe in the band, and Joe is also in the band Gamma Bomb. How did that come about? How did Joe get in the band?
Well, basically, I've been in Gamma Bombs for about 20 years, and the whole time that Gamma Bomb's been in existence, they've been huge Agent Steel fans, and obviously Agent Steel and specifically the albums that John made were huge influences on us. Right. So it kind of came about that I found out that John was interested in making a record, and I said, hey, do you want some help writing some demos and stuff? Maybe we can help you get some demos together for making a record. And he said, yeah, sure. And once actually we did some demos. I think that was in April this year. It actually turned out pretty good, and there was a label who were interested in stuff. So we said, yeah, let's keep on writing songs, and we had enough for an album, and that was it. The label said, okay, go and do it.
Right. Okay, please tell us about the new album that's coming up. Forthcoming album, No Godz Before Me. Soon to be released on Dissonance Sony Music. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, after the one of the first kind of test shows that I did in Germany this year, we had kind of like a little bit of a test run with the lineup and whatnot, and it was kind of like a really good vocal audition for me. Ollie, who's the promoter of the festival, he really gave me a good opportunity to come out there and show that I still had some good ideas and my voice was still working for me. So I was approached after that show by Plastic Head Dissonance Records, which is the Sony brand over in the States and other regions, and they were interested in picking up an album of material if I had enough together to release, since they were big fans from the past too. They were I think the production company that put together the light show and some of the stage props for the Hammersmith Odeon show in 1987 with the lineup that was with Chuck Profus, the original drummer of Agent Steel, and James Murphy and some other really great players like Richard Bateman. Oh, wow. Unfortunately, he's not with us. It's really disheartening. He's the greatest bass player I've ever played with, and he left us last year, and that was a great lineup. And those guys were there; they're fans, from the UK from way back. So they put together a label. They got a great merchandise distributor, and they decided to come back and reach out. And they saw me perform in Germany in April, and they said, "Hey, man, you still got it. You sound good, and you got some ideas, you got some songs. Let's do an album. Call it Cyriis, call it whatever you want to call it." They heard one of my other bands, SETI, too. That's like a project I put together, and I did Headbangers Open Air in 2011. They said, you can do SETI or Cyriis or Agent Steel if you got, if you want to do that. That's what you should do. And so since you own the trademark, the name and everything. So I said, yeah, as a matter of fact, I got a cool band going now, and the bassist that, actually didn't appear in April with me is actually, a permanent member of the new band. He's in, he's from Gamma Bomb, and he's my partner. He's playing with me. And I got a pretty good lineup, pretty stellar lineup going. So I said, okay, well, let's do it, man. Let's make an album. So the rest is history. We went in and started doing some tracks, and things evolved. Songs got better as we were tracking, and now this album is a monster, man. It's ready to it's ready to see the light of day or the dark of night, whichever time you want to play it. And we've got actually 14 really killer songs, and I think people are going to be pretty surprised at what they hear. It's definitely an evolution, yet a continuation from the Unstoppable Force, the third album that I did with Age of Steel and released in 1987. So I'm really confident that fans and maybe even new fans are going to hopefully jump on board and follow the mighty Steel, man. We got some stuff that's just really going to blow everybody away, man.
Right.
And we got one clip that I sent you there, and that's not actually the final one. There's some vocals that have been actually upgraded on that song, and that you'll hear when the album is released. It should be coming out pretty soon.
All right. In the past, some of your lyrical themes with your band, Age of Steel, was talking about UFOs and aliens. How different is that album from what's coming up with the new? Does it still have the same lyrical themes, or something different, a little bit different this time?
Well, no, actually, what it is, it's an evolution of the concepts that I was touching on and exploring with the first three albums, Skeptic's Apocalypse, The Mad Locust Rising, and The Unstoppable Force. This is kind of the next level, and the subject matter is really kind of following the same format, and it kind of tells a story about how my personal investigations into all the different subjects relating to the possibility of life existing on other planets, beings from other galaxies or even dimensions may be interfering or interacting even with our the denizens of our world, and it just makes it for an interesting subject matter that's different from the usual the typical the typical raise your fist to metal, or just the black metal stuff, or just death, doom, and destruction. It just gives a different viewpoint on what could be going on as far as this grand ride we're all on as being citizens of this planet, and what we're experiencing, and the changes that are happening to our planet, not just in the environment, but with the psyche of humankind in general, in relation to what is simultaneously existing, perhaps on other planets and other galaxies, and even in other dimensions. So I had a track list that was pretty cool in the beginning. It's just evolved into a complete monster. I mean, this is fantastic stuff that I got going. I got one song that which is a subject we've never touched on, which relates to like the whole alien theology. It's called Trespassers, and it's about crop circles. It's about a British family who owns that are proprietors of a corn farm in the British countryside, and they experience some pretty heavy stuff that they start having contacts with, flying discs hovering over their crops and designing sigils, and they're wondering what the heck is going on. They have a team of specialists come in and take a look at what's going on, and they even plant themselves there and spend several nights, and they actually witness it. And it's a pretty heavy song, and the lyrics you'll see once the lyrics are out simultaneous to the album. I'm sure it's gonna draw a lot of controversy, because it's really a grand, shocking evolution from the Unstoppable Force and all the other alien-themed concepts I use on the other albums. And there's other songs that relate to that too. That we have an intro. The album begins with an intro, which is pretty spacey. If you hear it, you'll get a feeling. A lot of people get a feeling about it because where it was actually written was a very special place in South America where I was when I came up with the musical idea for it.
Oh wow!
And some of the other guys in the band kind of elaborated and developed it with me. I actually wrote the core music of it, and the album is going to open with this instrumental that's going to have some eerie vocal stuff inside of it, and it's going to end with this instrumental as well. And it's going to be a different way to present an album, kind of like the Rush Hemispheres kind of format, where they start with kind of like a one song and the same music ends the album, kind of like a concept album with songs touching the front and the back of it. So it creates an ambience of storytelling kind of format, but in a speed metal heavy genre instead, presented in a speed metal heavy genre.
Who is the producer? Who is the producer on the album? Who produced the album?
That's kind of confidential right now because he works with a lot of he works with pop artists and just hard rock people. This is one of the first metal projects he's done, besides another one that's a Japanese band that's pretty gotten a lot of controversy lately, and that will be disclosed when the album is released. Yeah, we have a little thing with the label. We're kind of keeping a mystery about a lot of things so that it's more entertaining when you're wondering what it's about and who's involved, and then once it's released, you kind of get like it finalizes it. It's kind of like the release of it takes you on different plateaus and different levels of being involved with being a fan or being interested in the band. So yeah, we're keeping that confidential until the album is actually out or when the release is actually at least digitally announced. So
please tell us about any upcoming shows and tours that you will be involved in and where.
Well, we have plans to do a lot of shows to support the album next year. We were going to do some shows before the year's end this year, but it's just that the studio schedule was just it went over overtime a little because we were trying to put together as much intensity into the album and just other effects and things that we didn't plan on incorporating into the actual audio that we halfway along the way we decided to actually apply to make it more interesting. Not that it's going to be overproduced, but it's going to entertain a lot of the concepts that I've always wanted to incorporate into an album that I wasn't able to in the 80s for whatever reasons, because it was just the band was kind of young and the budget didn't allow it, and even if the budget did, it just wasn't what we were really focused on then, because everybody wasn't really on board with me or giving me the space to be able to incorporate all that. And there's a lot of added things, like if you hear Skeptics Apocalypse, the opening, you have that calling where there's a radio talk show in Fort Lauderdale where the caller, the whole city of Fort Lauderdale went dead from a power outage, and Fort Lauderdale radio was the only one where there was any power there, and they were getting phone calls, and there were callers, and the one particular caller called and made a statement, and there's a really eerie voice, behind this caller, and everybody who hears it gets a feeling. It's really kind of a cool, effect that you get when you hear the caller's voice, and we added that to the opening of the album, Skeptics Apocalypse. So that's the callings, that intro, and it's a real event. It's not like we hired an actor or somebody to come in and write, put a voice on it or something. It's not staged. It's real from an actual recording from Fort Lauderdale. It was a talk show that was on the subject of the Bermuda Triangle, actually. Okay. So I'm bringing in a lot of stuff like that into this album, and So it took a little while. It took a little bit longer than I had anticipated to get it finished. That's why we weren't able to focus on, putting together a small tour or several performances before the year's end. Because we're just focusing on just getting the album out before the year's end or very early next year. And then next year we will be able to focus on special shows where we feel we can incorporate a stage show that will kind of support the album's concepts, not just going out and kicking ass, but also having some of that ambience that the album is going to project, also bring it on stage with some effects and whatnot. So
right.
we're being more careful on as to what shows and what tours we take on. And but it does start out, so far there's a show scheduled, but there'll probably be some before that in the UK, maybe a cool album release party show. But one that is very significant is Up the Hammers Festival in Athens, Greece, on Friday the 13th, 2020, next year. And that should be a very significant show where we're going to bring on some of the effects that coincide with the album's purpose, and it's just going to be really cool because it'll be the first time that on a bigger level than just clubs or whatever that we're trying to actually avoid, but it'll demonstrate the new lineup. It's going to bring on we're going to be covering songs from the new album and covering older material, the classic material from the two albums and the EP from the 80s, and we're really looking forward to that. And yeah, it's going to be an epic performance. I guarantee it.
Awesome. Okay, this is a fan's question right here. A lot of fans want to know: is it true that you briefly joined Dave Mustaine's Megadeth on vocals in 1983? If so, what happened? What was that like?
Yeah, actually, I did. In between Avatar and actually getting Agent Steel kickstarted completely, I had a sort of a casual friendship with Dave and Dave Mustaine, Dave Ellefson, and I also was their drummer at the time, J0KeR's, was a friend of mine, and they heard me sing in Avatar. They heard me sing in a band called Vermin. We were playing around the LA club circuit a lot, and they would come to the shows and they would say, "Hey, you know what? Megadeth. We're gonna blow Metallica away, but we need you. We need John Cyriis in this band." And Dave would come with Dijon to all of my shows. They would show up in my house. Sometimes I'd get home and they'd sit there talking to my mom. My mom said, "These are nice boys, but they've been here for hours and they're trying to pitch me to get you to join their band. Can you please just join their band already? Because I got things to do during the day. I got to take your sister to school and pick her up and all. There's all kinds of stuff. And the boys take a lot of my time. They're nice guys, but can you just join the band already, please?" So I said, okay, let's see what we'll give. So I did. I joined Megadeth, and it was just totally ripping, man. I mean, every rehearsal, it was like Christmas. It was like New Year's Eve, man. I would just witness the Daves just shredding every night, and I had some killer lyrics to the music. I was singing some vocal melodies that were way out there. It's like a combination of like Queensryche, Merciful Fate, Agent Steel, what it became, and it was just people would sit outside our rehearsal and just say, "Oh my God, what the hell is that? Where you guys? You guys are from another fucking planet. You guys are going to be Metallica's finished, Yeah. And Dave and the Daves were so confident, and man, we were just gods completely. And then I started singing some really far out there stuff. Dave wanted to focus. He wanted me to write words that were kind of more like from a human standpoint and more political stuff, and kind of rebellious stuff, like more like punk against like anarchy and stuff. And we had most of our songs were actually directed towards that kind of a concept, but I started writing some really eerie alien kind of stuff, and it was actually kind of dark too. It wasn't just like the alien, like here come Close Encounters, they're our buddies and they're coming down, ETs coming down to take us off on a bicycle, flying around the neighborhood. It was like really eerie stuff, like conspiracy theory stuff, and Dave kind of got a little sketchy on it, and he said, John, can you lighten up a little bit, because if we're going to be bigger than Metallica, we got to have some kind of, I don't want to say commercial, but more accessible stuff. This might keep us kind of underground. I mean, the fans are going to love it, but we want to kind of compete and kind of have a song, a good party song. We want to have more Four Horsemen kind of stuff. If we're going to get a little heavy, we're going to go that, that's as far as we should go for right now. But he dealt with it, and he just loved it. Every rehearsal was like, we're all in metal love, man. It was killer. But one day, it was almost a year, I was out, and I came home, and my mom came to the door. And when I came in, I knew there was something wrong. She looked at me, and she had a manila envelope, and she said, the Daves just came by here, and I talked to them for a couple hours, and they said they really love you, man, and the band is killer, but they brought back your lyrics, and they said, they really got to let you go and move on, and they know that you're involved with Juan, and you're doing an Age of Steel thing already anyway, and they don't want a guy that's in two bands. But the thing that really bothered Dave is that, Dave was out here almost tearing in front of me, sitting on the couch talking to me, saying that he really didn't want to go that alien direction. He didn't want to do that stuff that you're really into, and that's perfect for you to do in Age of Steel in your band. And he wants to do more of the anarchy, political stuff, and human standpoint stuff about, his life, his addictions and stuff, and that he would rather, represent that kind of a concept. And they said they hope you're not pissed off and you still stay friends, and they'll support you any way they can, and they love Age of Steel. They've already heard your demo and everything. So I said, oh, well, I guess this is meant to be. So then I focused 100% on Age of Steel, and at every Age of Steel show that we did in LA, the Daves were there. Dave Ellison, Dave Mustaine, they were there supporting us. They would always, sure enough, always at some point before we got on, it was like, there they are in the dressing room area in the back. Hey, what's up, guys? They were friends with me and Juan, and they were always there. So we stayed friends, and it was, I don't know what would have happened if we would have stayed together. I'm sure that it would have been an incredible journey, but it happened the way it did. And Megadeth's a great band, and Dave turned out to be a great singer, and I'm proud of what he's done with his life. He's gone through so many changes, man, from the day that I knew him. Actually, he was a really nice guy too. I never had a problem with Dave Mustaine or Dave Ellison, especially, both of them. Dave Mustaine was always a gentleman. He was great to my family. He was never rude to me. I never got in an argument with him. He wasn't overbearing or dictatorial, like people say. He's like, a dictator, and it's his way or the highway. I never got that. He was like one of the sweetest people I've ever met in my life. So I don't know where people get it. Maybe they're, maybe some people are just, they wish they had his strength and talent to do what he did, maybe, and that's why they criticize him. But I think he's a really nice guy, and he's great talent. Megadeth's one of my favorite bands of all time, so it all worked out anyway. So we're coming back with the new Age of Steel now, it's the Resurrection, and I think that Dave's going to be pretty surprised at what he hears too. I'm sure he'll jump back on as being a fan in his own way. So
awesome. How do you maintain your voice and keep up your voice? I'm sorry.
You guys still there?
Yeah.
I'm here, man.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I think a lot has to do with just, your frame of mind, your state of consciousness, I guess. If you want something bad enough, or you have enough of, if you're motivated enough to communicate something, it's just like like a news anchorman that's, this is a off the wall example, but like Wolf Blitzer of CNN, for example. He's an older guy,
right,
and he speaks well. He's very conscious, and he's coherent in what he says. And just anybody, people. I don't want to get nailed down or anything, but saying this, but it's anybody like the the president of the United States, Donald Trump. He's an older guy, and he's very sharp. He's still a good businessman. He speaks coherent and clearly, you know. So I think age doesn't really have much really to do with it, unless you're really like partying down and maybe you smoke or something. I don't know. That depends too. It's really in the state of mind, because people like Jeff Tate chain smoked for years. He smoked through all the way from the EP through Mindcrime, I think, or beyond, and then he quit. Yep. And his voice was great. Those were his best years.
He was a big smoker too.
Who's that?
Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah, he was a heavy smoker too. That. Yes. And
Metal Hammer in general, worldwide, they've been supportive. I just finished some interviews. They're going to do a special feature for the Up the Hammer show, and they're going to do a special on the band, and all the press worldwide, man, that's really been supportive. You know, they've been really. They haven't listened to a lot of the negative stuff that, you know, when a band comes back and there's a lineup change, there's only maybe a few original members. Everybody's always skeptical, you know, because I want my Agent Steel, you know. But right. when those skeptics and people like that listen to the new stuff, they're going to come right back on. They're going to realize, hey, it's okay. We're doing something cool now, and we still respect what was done then. And Juan was a great motivator, and, you know, we're always have the deepest respect and admiration for what we've achieved in the past, but it's time to look forward and evolve now and move on to the next chapter, and this is what we're doing, and I'm very sure that they're going to love it, you know, that people are going to really like what we're doing, and it's going to continue, and that's, who knows, you know, in the near future, who knows that maybe some of the former members, like Juan especially, if he decided to participate or, you know, just add some songwriting elements, he's always welcome, you know. Juan will always be a great friend, close comrade, music partner, and who knows what the future will bring of Agent Steel, but we know one thing for certain: the future is looking forward straight out to the stars, man, and we're going to keep making. Beyond this record is going to be another one, and it's already in preparation as far as the lyrics and the concept, some of the music, and
cool.
We're just going to keep moving on and deliver something in the 21st century that we did in the 80s, and keep continue the story, man. Continue the metal crusade. That's what it's about, man. Metal, to keep the genre going, keep it exciting, interested, and keep it interesting, and moving forward, evolving musically too, which is what we're doing with this album. So I also like to thank for kind of that's given us a lot of inspiration right now to really keep our heads up through some of the negative hype. Unfortunately, there always is. You know, there's always two sides to everything. And the Up the Hammer guys in Greece, the Up the Hammer promoters, they've really been forthcoming and supportive, and they've pretty much, been strong through all the negative hype and all the negative some of the negative talk, and there's always that, on online, Facebook and Blabbermouth and whatever, some of the haters, they've been pretty strong, and they've been good friends and good fans, and they're supportive of the band, and we're all looking forward to getting together in March of 2020 and really delivering the goods, man. So that's it's all more positive than negative.
Awesome. You heard that, fans. John and Joe, it's been a pleasure and an honor having you on the show here tonight. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule doing this interview with us here at MetalMessiahRadio.com. The best of luck to you and the guys of Agent Steel. You're more than welcome to come back on the show when the next offering comes out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, man.
Thanks for having us, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to play something new from Agent Steel. This is The Way of Mechanism. Please tell us about that song real quick.
Sure. It was one of the first songs that it's written by Master Joe, who's on with us right now, and I wrote the words and the vocal melodies, and we have a pretty stellar guest lineup that's playing some solos on there, and of course our own guitarists, and it's really a continuation of the Unstoppable Force era with a lot of skeptic stuff, but it's a little conspiracy theory stuff mixed in there. It's basically a song about a secret society that may exist that nobody has ever seen, or they try to not be identified, that basically puppeteers most of us and most elements, financial, military, and many aspects of life on Earth. And nobody knows what their true agenda is, but some people have an idea, but it may not be all that bad, but it's disguised in ways that you would never ever imagine or figure it out. And it describes Hollywood as being one of the perpetrators that kind of keeps us entertained and not focusing on what could really be going on, as far as us as humanity as a whole being manipulated for some purpose. We don't know, and we may never know what the true purpose may be, but because I'm always like an anti-Hollywood kind of guy, just for the hype of it. Like I love Exodus, and I love the one of my favorite songs of all time is "Burn Hollywood Burn." Yeah, when I saw, we had a lot to talk about when I saw Gary Holt in Tokyo when we did the 2010 the reunion that we did with the last reunion with the former lineup in Tokyo. We did the Thrash Domination with Exodus and Overkill, and I'm always a big fan of Gary's work, and so I try to bring a little bit of that into this song. And if you listen to the words, it's got all of it in there, all of the above that I talked about and a little more. So.
This is Joe McGuigan from Agent Steel, and you're listening to J0KeR's Electric Circus at metalmessiahradio.com.
This is John Cyriis from Agent Steel. We're here on J0KeR's Electric Circus and metalmessiahradio.com.